Welcome back for Happy Chapter and good morning. So, this is accepting your shadow. Um, we all have a shadow, and we only see that shadow when the sun comes out and shines onto us. And we see that on the ground beneath us. And what you're getting is an outline of the darker side of who you are, and a visual view of you and how you see yourself. Because we capture that sense, like a sixth sense, that we are the body. And with that sense, we lock it up in that way that we are just the body. But when we come around to knowing who we are and understanding that we're not in the body, consciousness is everywhere, then you begin to understand that you are not the body, you are only linked to the body through consciousness. And that consciousness comes about by your senses and how they are activated and sent through the brain, which expand out into the mind of consciousness. And so, because we have them senses, we hold on to them as a knowing that this is us, this is I, and nothing more. Yet forgetting that I am not here. This is only a connection to me, the puppet that's on the strings that I create. I am, as you see, my puppet. And in that, I get a reflection of the puppet that I am, the darker side. To get that choice, to take that freedom to venture out and do physical activities, to have that enjoyment as the physical being. While conscious is never there within the body alone, it is everywhere, capturing everything. Yet, with my focus and attention of the body, it only focuses on everything that I see, I hear, I smell, I taste, I feel towards by using the senses of only the body. While being consciousness, I limit myself by just this body. While I'm so much more when I engage that knowing that there's also that separation of consciousness and the body as not limited. It's not limited by the body. It is advanced way beyond the body's capabilities. And we don't realize that when we are in that feeling of this is it, this is the body, this is what we do. We get limited to our shadow. And sometimes we're either off track by being spiritual, by going into the light and longing for it, or being in it too long and getting detached from the shadow of darkness of who we are really as a physical being. Or we go into the physical side and we get detached from the spiritual side, using the ego to grab and attach ourselves to other physical things outside of ourselves, in the sense that this is all that we are. But when we can pull that shadow into spirit and see it as a reflection of spirit as it comes down on you, it shows you the outline of the darkness that you are as a physical being. Yet because spirit is shining on you, you see the reflection of that darkness upon the surface you walk on as the physical being. Yet it is all captured through consciousness, through that awareness of the body's senses. But we get locked onto that now, opening up to the spiritual side being the key point in this situation, is to accept the body as the limited capabilities of what it's able to do, knowing that that is not you. That is a connection, a puppet, a dummy, or whatever structure, robotical structure as it goes through magnetic and electrical fields, is what you are, a robot to your consciousness. And when you can see that and begin to feel it, and that won't happen until you learn how to think about it and sense it, by using your senses and turning that on to consciousness instead of having it switched over to the physical world. Using your senses to be alert to how you are overall in that consciousness, thinking, feeling, being, what's all guiding that and where it's coming from. And them electrical circuits that you are and how they run through you. And yet they connect outside you and return back to you, seeing all that, being all that. Yet you are always that, but you have your attention on this as the physical being and unaware of the traveling you have to do to get to this physical being, to create that awareness of the consciousness and all that's around you. But when you take yourself back to your true essence, you get to see you are not the body. You are not the body. You are connected to the body that creates the shadow of the spirit that shines upon you, that shines within you and around you, bringing consciousness as if the spirit wasn't there to shine down on you. You didn't have that light, you wouldn't have consciousness, therefore you wouldn't have body to be aware of all that you see, sense, hear, feel, touch. All your senses wouldn't be there because there would be no body, as you need the light to appear. Yet, when the light is surrounded by you, and you appear in that physical form through consciousness, it also shows you the darkness that's within you, of how you physically came from the ground, came from the land, the material, in this form of a structure. But only then were you able to become consciousness through that light. So if you can think of everything was dark, nothing but darkness. And for anything to appear, we needed light. And in that darkness, if you could even close your eyes and visualize that you're in the dark, and no matter how far in front of you or behind you, to any side of you, it's never ending darkness. And nothing but darkness. There's nothing to be seen but darkness. And to sit and feel that and sense it. And what you'll see is there's absolutely nothing. Just darkness. But as soon as you bring light to it, you start seeing shapes, dimensions coming together into form. Yet that was never in the darkness. It only starts to appear in the light. So when the light hits the darkness, consciousness comes alive in physical form. And the more consciousness comes alive in the physical form, so thinking of the planet, and then we become physical beings, physical creatures, physical in nature, as we are a part of nature. And from stillness to movement, it all comes together, and in all that creation that has happened, then we evolve into that being that holds and captures that connection to the consciousness to be able to use that godly consciousness in our choices, which leaves us, that standing one on the earth, as the controller, the operator, as we observe, because we have that connection of the awareness of all that is happening in consciousness, in how the light and dark come together, and then we have that consciousness. And because we're physically able to move with that consciousness and to be aware of all, then we get to be the creator of it all. From outside of our body. Remembering consciousness isn't you as the physical being. It's outside of you. It's the light and the dark. Maybe outside of you is not so much a way to put it that will leave you thinking, oh, that's just a way out there. And it is a way out there. You're way out there. But yet you're here. You're everywhere. And with that, if you can think of it more in the sense of when the light hits you as the body, when light becomes darkness and darkness becomes light, yin and yang, left and right, up and down, soft and hard, then you become that consciousness and you get that choice to do whatever you wish to do with it. But you need to relate it to all of consciousness because you're related to it all. And when you go off track with your own consciousness, then you're sending out that message through all of consciousness. And in return, you will get that back, fed back to you in the cycle of consciousness. So what you find is in our consciousness, we take it onto the side of darkness by using the physical alone to be aware of it only as in I being a physical being and nothing more. Where instead of I would be more all. All becomes one in physical form. Yet I in separation from it all because you're not in control of it all. You're only in control of all of who I is. From all. And with that you get to interact with other eyes who have also control of it all within all of them. And when we get that, we have different people crisscrossing in eyes with using all conflicting against each other when they are all as a unity. So we separate ourselves when we look at the darker side instead of seeing another as, oh, you're I and I'm you. We are all. We are one and the same. Yet we see it through different frames, capturing the world so we can bring back to consciousness them experiences of different facets that we are, yet being the same in all of consciousness. So it only makes sense to be loving, caring, honest, loyal, helpful, peaceful on this earth as all. Because when we separate ourselves as one and we attack another in any kind of form, from even thought, then we are attacking ourselves. Now just think of that on the physical side of life. And we're going to put it in the deep form if you have a weapon of some sort, and I'm thinking a knife and a gun. And you're aiming at someone or you have a knife for someone. You're putting that knife into yourself, or you're actually shooting yourself in consciousness Now, someone on the dark side of life and matter would not see that because you've stepped away from spirit, from the true essence of consciousness, and stepped into the body with the awareness of this is all that I am. Therefore, all the separation that you have between one another becomes opposition. So then you have to defend yourself from that. That is how you think, from feeling from the body that this is all that it is. By using the sense of eyes for sight to see that separation, instead of seeing it as a wholeness in one creation of all, in separations of all, in different vessels, yet one and the same. So instead of helping, we compete. And from it all, we get war, competing against each other for what? Really, like, for what do we compete against each other for? Ownership of something that we already own. That's what happens when you start confining things and locking them up into different departments or components. You put control on it. You put control on it with an operator to be in control of them, and then when something's crossed over, then there's a consequences. So take that control out, leave it all open. Freedom to walk here, there, wherever, and do as you wish. What's the need for control? If everyone is in that formality of walking the same line with nature, then nothing can go wrong. But you cross it. You cross that line of nature by lifting a weapon or lifting something or trying to hurt another. Then you cross the line of nature. Then there's consequences. And in them consequences, all of nature comes up against you. And that's where the physical side of things comes into the world. When you cross boundaries with the flow of nature, and that's the majority of people. So when one person crosses the boundary of the majority, then they're crossing nature. Because nature's got itself put out into a circulation of a form, and majority of people are rolling with that form. But when one person crosses it, then they're going against it. So all will come against that one. And there'll be consequences to their actions from what they've done, which brings about the control. You see, even though you think you get away, there's no way of getting away. It's impossible. You are always controlled by the essence of the true formality of everything, which is God, the creator of it all, who guides you through it all. But who is God? Consciousness. Consciousness is God. God's within you and around you, and creates all through consciousness. As soon as you take away consciousness, there's nothing. So, how do we fix the consciousness in the sense of keeping everybody on that same role of nature, same flow? We need to bring about awareness of who we are, and not knowing that we're not just a physical structure, that we're so much more. And they who cross that path of not conforming will be separated. You will get a divide, which will show you the dark side and the light in separation, in how people carry themselves. So on one side you'll have people who carry themselves as the physical and nothing more, and they will all come together in that darkness. And then the spiritual of consciousness will all come together as one in a unity of flowing with each other in that harmony and peace and love and joy. But there needs to be a separation. The dark needs to be placed on one side, away from the light, or it's only infecting it. And then we could place the light into the dark, but when the dark's not accepting it, you need that divide. And just like yin and yang, we have that circle of divide, where it doesn't come into the other. It is separated by the other in the form of life, like the figure 9 or 6, whatever way you want to look at it. In that form of life that creates all of the dimensions that you see through shapes that we turn into straight lines. Yet the format is coming from your figure 9 as it circulates round and out like a spiral. And in the dimensions of it all, then we create straight lines at different points. And from that, in consciousness, it brings about physical. As we create that energy into facets of dimensions. Anyway, this is just my ramble for the morning on life, dimensions, physical, non-physical, darkness, light, how we are all one. And that's with consciousness, godly consciousness. And you have that choice to step into it and use it like a god, like the God that you are, but you are not God, yet you are. You can only be God by stepping into it all, yet you will still have that separation through other facets in their knowing. And the only way that you could be God of all is taking yourself away from it all and observing it all. And with that, you will take yourself away out of the darkness. And you will be in the light. And while in that light, you will watch over all. You will see it all. And yet you'll be it all through other facets that you've created. But you could never be that in the dark. Because remember, you can't see in the dark. You can only see all when the light's switched on. This Happy Chapper. Love. Peace.